All right, in Chapter 7.6, we are now solving rational equations. So when we say solve period, the goal is to find the variable. What is x equal to? What's y? What's z? Whatever the variable may be, you're trying to figure out what is it equal to. So we're in the chapter review on page 579, looking at numbers 48, 51, and 55. All right, so the first thing you're always going to do is you want your denominators to be exactly the same. So you need to have a common denominator. So find the LCD. So let's find the LCD. So the first one, we have denominators x, 6, and x, which means your LCD is equal to 6x. Awesome. So how can we make the first denominator be 6x? We're going to multiply it by 6, which means we also got to do the same thing to the top. How can you make the second denominator be 6x? You got to multiply it by x, and the same to the top. And the third, again, multiplied by 6, and we'll end up with 18 over 6x minus x over 6x equals 6 over 6x. Now, once you have your denominators and they are all exactly the same thing, you may cancel them out. Basically, you're not changing the equation by canceling them all out as long as they're all equal. And you're left with 18 minus x equals 6. So now you can solve for x and you end up with x equals 12. And of course, you should check this by plugging it back into the original. All right, now let's move on down to 51. 51, we're doing the same thing. The first thing you want to do is find the LCD. So the LCD, well, I have denominators of 1, x plus 5, and x plus 5, which means my LCD is x plus 5. So what do you got to do to the first fraction, or the first term, in order for your denominator to be x plus 5? You need to multiply the bottom by x plus 5, which means you also got to multiply the top by x plus 5. And the other terms, they're okay because my denominators are already x plus 5. So the first fraction comes into 4 times x plus 5 divided by x plus 5 minus x divided by x plus 5 equals 5 divided by x plus 5. Good. Now that we have our denominators all equal, we can cancel them out. And we're left with 4x plus 20 minus x equals 5. And let's solve for x. So I have 3x equals negative 15 divided by 3, and you get x equals negative 5. Now, do we have an issue with this x equals negative 5? If I was to take this and plug it back into the original problem, what am I going to end up doing? I'm going to end up dividing by 0, and I cannot divide by 0. Therefore, this cannot be a solution. And if I don't have a solution, the answer is no solution. So with these, you really should be plugging them back in to make sure they work. On number 48, I didn't have any issues, right? X is 12. It works out. Good. All right, let's move on to 55. All right, so this one, we first got to find the LCD. So how am I going to do that? I'm going to go ahead and factor this denominator. So I have 1 over x plus 3 minus 1 over x minus 1 equals x plus 1 over x plus 3 times x minus 1. I had to think for a second. Is that right? Yes. Good. Now let's see here. My LCD. So let's see, I have x plus 3, x minus 1, x plus 3, x minus 1. And remember from chapter 7.4, how you find your LCDs? Well, you write, what's wrong with my pen? You write the factors for each denominator, and then you go ahead and circle the repeats, and you write what's ever left over, right? Well, that means my LCD is going to be x plus 3 times x minus 1. X plus 3 times x minus 1. Let's change colors real quick. So what do you need to do to the first term, in order to have the LCD in your denominator, is going to multiply top and bottom by x minus 1. I do not know what's going on with my pen. There you go. X minus 1. X minus 1. What do you need to do to the second? Multiply by x plus 3. I know it's getting messy. My pen is not working that well. There we go. And the last one, you don't got to multiply by anything, so I'm just going to say multiply by 1. So the first term becomes x minus 1 over x minus 1. I apologize, the pen is not working correctly. Times x plus 3 minus x plus 3. Divide by x minus 1, x plus 3 equals x plus 1 over x plus 3 times x minus 1. Alright, good. Now once the denominators are all equal, we can cancel them out. So let us cancel them out. Cancel, cancel, cancel. And you're left with x minus 1. And then what do you do here? That minus sign has to be distributed to everything in this numerator. So that becomes minus x minus 3 equals x plus 1. Alright, let's put our x's together and solve. Well, these x's cancel out. And that just leaves me with negative 4. Oh gosh, negative 4 equals x plus 1. Subtract 1 on both sides, and you get x equals negative 5. And let's quickly plug it back in and make sure it works with no issues, because remember, we do not want to divide by 0. We plug it into the first, yep, we're good to go. The second, we're good to go. And the last will be good to go. Therefore, x equals negative 5 is the answer.